My mother and stepfather always have explosive arguments, so I banned him from my home. Get out of my house! That's a perfect impression.
Thank you.
I'm not sure how to start, but my name is Erica. I'm 35, married with 2 beautiful sons. My younger sister has urged me to post about our mom, and I must know if I'm the a-hole with regard to the boundaries I've set up. A little backstory. My mom, who we'll call Stacy, is a boomer Scorpio, aka she is very spicy. Has always been very stubborn and set in her ways. Stacy thrives on drama in all aspects of her life. And by the way, this story comes from user Mental Rubbage. No, just kidding. Mental Rutabaga 3393. And you can submit your stories on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So she ran away with my father from the Midwest when she was 17. And they divorced when I was a preteen. I'm the oldest of 3 siblings. My brother is the problem child and has taken on a lot of the trauma that has to do with their relationship. He has substance use disorders and several other disorders, and he is my mom's favorite codependent, which is easiest to control, child. Stacy remarried when I was a preteen shortly after the divorce from my dad to my stepdad, who we'll call Bill. Stacy enjoys being both the hero and the martyr and claims everyone else is a narcissist when really she exhibits most of the behaviors of a narcissist. She has been separated from my stepdad Bill since 2014 with good reason, as they are explosive together. For example, Bill and Stacy came over for Christmas the year before I put the rule of not having Bill come for the holidays. Bill and Stacy had already been separated for a few years, but he decided to come to Christmas with the promise that they would both behave. He came up to Stacy and started kissing her, grabbing her rear playfully, and acting like they were the perfect couple, knowing it was ticking Stacy off. She told him to stop, and he continued. They're already separated. Didn't they already separate at this point? What is this?
And also
this
just in front of everyone, and also she's going like, hey, stop it.
Yeah, this should be like, whoa, hey,
Hey,
get out now. What
yep,
do you
bye.
Get out. You're gone. Why are you even here? A few minutes later, they were screaming at each other, bringing up old fights and making everyone uncomfortable. I asked them to stop or take it somewhere else, but they just kept going. It became an explosive fight, and many of our friends and family left before dinner to escape the fighting. I begged them to stop, and so did my husband, but they ignored everyone's pleas. Eventually, they left after ruining the entire dinner for us and our remaining guests. It was a doo-doo show. This was not a new occurrence either. Throughout their entire marriage, my 2 siblings and I were the glue that kept them together. We would mitigate every argument that arose and had the task of keeping the household calm. Basically, we were counselors for their marriage when we were merely children. Yes, that's
not a great thing to put on a child.
That sounds like a storybook romance. When we didn't intervene in their fights, they would yell and throw things at each other, use us, the children, as weapons against each other. It's just typical toxic household vibes. My brother, who's 33 male, has a child that we will call Dean that my brother has never been capable to raise due to his substance abuse problems and a criminal past, so Stacy and Bill have taken responsibility for Dean's upbringing. After that explosive Christmas, my husband and I were finally able to purchase our first house in the spring of 2020, and I thought about the upcoming holidays and how to avoid another disaster. In 2020, I began to break from my people-pleasing ways and decided to recognize my worth. I will not have my children experience the same tension I grew up with and will not tolerate my mother and Bill's behavior in my home. I thought about how to proceed and decided Bill would not be welcome in my home until Stacy and Bill could rectify their relationship and behave like adults. This would effectively remove Stacy's primary trigger and hopefully facilitate happy family gatherings. This caused a massive fight between my mom and I. But I have not changed my rules because they still can't behave to this day around each other and are still separated.
I just don't understand why he's coming to these things.
Exactly. It's like if you're separated and you're not my biological relative, you're not coming to Christmas.
And you're also like, you hate each other.
Yes. You do not like each
why
other.
Why is she fighting so hard for this guy to come?
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like
they don't like each other.
Her fighting was probably less about him not coming and being like, "Oh, so you've got a problem with me?"
Yeah.
So what did I do wrong? And it's like, I mean,
no,
you're just one half of the problem.
Yeah.
I could go into pages and pages more of backstory about Stacy and Bill's toxic marriage, but I will get to the reason of the post and whether I'm the a-hole. So let's talk about the incident that's inspired my ability to solidify my boundaries. Dean's birthday is around the Christmas holiday, and this particular year he was turning 13. Since Stacy and Bill have custody of Dean, they decided to celebrate at one of those cool adventure parks, and they invited the whole family. This was also the same year that I had finally bought my first house with my husband and had made my rule of not having Bill come to my home. I wasn't going to have Stacy and Bill over since their relationship was and still is incredibly toxic. The whole family was invited to this event. Stacy, Bill, Dean, my sister, her significant other, along with myself, my husband, and our twins. Now, Stacy had been abusively messaging and calling for weeks prior to the party due to my decision to not include Bill over to my house during the holidays. I agreed to go despite the hate and animosity my mom was throwing at me to give Dean a fun birthday with his cousins. At the park, my husband and I watched the kids play, and my husband played as well with them. My mom would not look at me, speak to me, and basically just ignored my existence, which I was fine with. We had a great time seeing the kids have so much fun. As we got ready to leave, my husband gave the Christmas presents to my mom since we would not see them on Christmas. She refused to come without her estranged husband, which is such a
They're kind of not even estranged.
I guess if they're both raising a kid together and like they're going to the adventure park and they're still living together, are they separated?
I don't think they're that separated. I don't think they're as separated as they claim to be.
I mean, they're like separated emotionally.
Yeah.
They just don't like each other.
They hate each other, but they're like, well, what are you gonna do?
They're like, we used to like each other. Maybe that'll happen again one day.
You know, it's kind of like that thing.
It's that thing where you go like, whoa. Which is true, but like also, it doesn't feel like they're doing any work.
It seems
takes
like they
work
still hate each other
to actually get things back into a good place in a relationship.
Yeah, it feels
they're
more
just like, we'll vibe into it.
It feels more like,
yeah, they're just. My mom proceeded to take all of the presents and stomp over to our car and put them into the trunk, saying that she won't take them. I'm not sure exactly the words she used, but they were very hateful. Dean starts crying, and my twins start crying, and then I lost my crap. I can handle the abuse, but when you make kids cry, especially my own, it's when I go, as my sister calls, feral. Yeah, I mean, not only you made your own adopted kid cry, essentially, and you're making all the other kids cry because
you're making children cry.
You're too proud to take gifts that aren't even for you. They're for the kids.
Yeah.
I started screaming. And if you knew me, you would know I almost never scream. I was seeing red at this point. Do not mess with my kids.
Oh, OP's going full mama bear.
She went. I don't know. Is that...
It's more like a ferret.
I told her how childish, selfish, and despicable she was behaving. I tried to rein in my anger and reiterated that she and my nephew were more than welcome to come to Christmas. I just wasn't having Bill come because they can't act like an adult for 30 minutes without starting a fight. The only reason she hadn't fought with Bill at the trampoline park was because all her anger was pointed towards me. You know how in Lord of the Rings, when Sauron missed Sam and Frodo getting to Mount Doom because Aragorn and the rest of the guys were at the Black Gates distracting the eye? Spoiler alert!
Yeah, I know
Spoiler!
that.
Basically, the same principle.
Is it really?
It is. I believe
it's
it is.
the same principle.
I had all her hate and anger 100% focused on her horrible daughter, which was me. Back to the story. Stacy got in my face, practically nose to nose, called me the B word in front of all the kids, and was just pushing me to fight her physically.
Wow. Why is your mom acting like this?
Dude, she's on one right now.
Yeah.
I'm ashamed to say that I was about to knock her butt into next week right then and there. I've never been in a fight in my life, but I was going to teach her a lesson. I have never been so angry in my life. Luckily, my husband pulled me back and we left. Yeah, see, she was being corrupted by the power of the ring right there.
Bill was over there going, ooh.
You were hearing like all the high-pitched like screams and you were hearing the ring noises.
Yeah.
She proceeded to blow up my phone for hours about how I ruined Dean's birthday. Well, no, that was your mom. And how I'm a selfish bee, along with countless other hateful phrases. I have pages and pages of her crazy texts from this time. I know I shouldn't have lost it on her, and I did apologize for that part, but I will not apologize for setting boundaries and having happy holidays in my home. So am I the a-hole for not allowing Bill to come to my house when they're both hellbent on being mean and hateful whenever they are around each other? And was I the a-hole for losing my crap on my mom when she returned the Christmas presents and made all the kids cry? And by the way, you know, it's gonna make all of us cry if you don't listen to full episodes with stories like this, because why wouldn't you? All you need to do is go to Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts from and search OK Storytime, and there you can listen to literally everything we've ever made, right?
Yes.
Perfect.
Man, oh man.
No, you're not the a-hole for any of this.
No. And also, I think that you wouldn't be the a-hole if you stopped inviting your mom. Because Bill is one side of this coin, this toxic lead-coated coin. And you're going to get lead poisoning if you keep holding on to that coin. Even if you flip it over, you're like, oh, I can't see the Bill side. Mom's still there. She's coated in lead.
Yeah, I feel like her problem is that, like, just being implicated in an issue or that she causes issues is like, now she's like, she's embarrassed because now it's like, oh, well, even if it is just like, well, she's only banning her husband, it's like, well, actually, wait, no, that doesn't make any sense because they're supposed to be estranged.
Supposed to be.
But maybe they're not. Maybe they're not even separated. I don't understand
Bill and your mom's relationship.
Yeah.
It seems weird. Maybe they get off on like screaming at each other. I don't know. But I think at the end of the day, you don't need to invite your mom to things either, because it seems like you have a pretty volatile relationship with your mom too.
Yeah. As of today, she still throws a fit every year around Halloween when she starts talking about coming over for the holidays, and I have to reiterate my boundaries. This year, she decided to tell me I'm banned from her life and her funeral, along with pages and pages of verbal abuse. I don't know why I even stay in contact with her. I've always been a people pleaser, and it's hard for me to take this from her year after year. She is my mom, and I love her, but I'm not sure how many more times I can be called a narcissist, a disappointment of a daughter, a horrible mother, along with a slew of profanity and so on. Yeah, you don't have to take that.
Don't take it.
We are in low contact right now, but after the holidays have all passed, she will work her way back into our lives without an apology, and the cycle will begin again at the end of October. And that is the end of that story. But hey,
dang.
Sounds like you're very acutely aware of the cycle. It's time to call her out.
Yeah, I think I just also think at the end of the day, like, you do not have to have a relationship with her.
You don't.
Like, she keeps causing problems in your life. She keeps pulling you. She pulled you as a child into this. She pulled your kids now. It's just a cycle that ain't too hot.
There's never an obligation.
Nope.
Like, you know, there's always like a sense, or like there's that outward pressure from like society and like everything we've been brought up in, where it's like, oh, family first, and like it's always your family, you always keep your. But like, if she's actively
making things
abusing you verbally, like and like mentally, like, it's okay.
I think when you get to a point where you almost physically fight someone, maybe we should reconsider whether or not we want that person in our life.
Yeah, I mean, especially as adults.
Yeah.
Like, we love you, and see you tomorrow.